Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. The N word is back in the news again. But my question is, who has ownership of the N word? White people? Black people? No people? Now, before we get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. Well, the N word came up again, and as a celebrity was asked a question. I'm getting ready to play the clip in a moment about his use of the N word. He's a white man. And he's going to say that he thought he had a pass. I'll get to that in a moment. But growing up, we used the N word often. Now, we didn't, it wasn't, stigmatized. We used it to refer to one another, tease one another, and just call one another the N word. And by the way, let me just say, I'm not using the full word, Nigger, because I don't know how the social media would respond. So I'll just keep it safe and use the N word. I think pretty much people know what we mean now. But there's a history to this word, and it's been bantered around. In other words, how white people have used it in the past, to even how white people use it today. How white people still use it today as tied to the past. I'm going to get to that later. And of course, black people use it as well. The question is why? Why do black people use it? And that's why I asked the question, well, who really has ownership of this word, the Nigger word? Now, a lot of people even try to make the Nigga. Well, let me just say, same word. But the bigger question is, why? Now, growing up, and I think we use this word all the time. We call each other that. We joke with each other that. This is Jesse Jackson, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. He was caught on tape during the Obama campaign in the early days of the Obama campaign, using the N-word against Obama. Basically, he was speaking as we would have all spoken growing up. Basically, he said, who does that N-word think he is? And he said some other very harsh things, okay? But I want to play a tape and that I mentioned. And this is Dog the Bounty Hunter. Now, Dog is a white man. I want to play this tape, and I want you to kind of hear his explanation as to why he thought it was okay for him to use the N word.
The N word.
Yes, sir.
Why were you using that word so freely?
Well, I thought I had a pass in the black tribe to use it, kind of like Eminem. Would I die for a gay man or a black man? I'd lay down my life.
All right, now you see his admitting that he used the N-word. I'm going to come back to him because he did more than just use the N-word. And I want to put a proper context to when he says he used the N-word. And then, of course, his fake tears here where he says he would lay his life down. We'll come back to that. But these are some celebrities who they kind of thought they had a pass to use the N-word. And as you can see, some of these celebrities are very famous. Like on the right there, Justin Timberlake, Miley Cyrus, I believe her name is Gina Rodriguez, and Justin Bieber. And they would use the N-word in songs, and sometimes even in jest. Now, the lady in the middle, her name was Dr. Laura Schlesinger, and she was huge. I think she's still pretty popular, but she was even bigger because she was on television and radio nationwide. A caller called in, and it had to be a black lady. The black lady basically was saying that she was offended because I think a co-worker had used the N-word. And Dr. Laura Schlesinger went in on the black woman as if saying, well, what's the big deal? black people use it all the time. And then she kind of like, like they say, inward, 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 and it kept going on. Well, she ended up getting a lot of backlash. She did the traditional apology for it, but then she still ended up quitting her, I think, national radio show. Now, Bill Maher, I mean, people know him. He's a comedian, had a show on HBO, and he had to do his kind of apology because on one of his shows he joked and he said, "I'm just a house inward." And then people went in on him, and he ended up having the black people on. I think he had a couple of black celebrities on to talk about, the N word and race and yada yada yada. Okay, he's, to me, since of kind of not going that way anyway, but he's not saying the N word. But the question, of course, is, was it okay for them to use the N word? Now, let me just say this: the N word was a white man's word from the beginning. Yes, it was a white man's word used to offend, denigrate. But I'll come back to that. In today's connotation, people think all of a sudden that when white people use the N word, is that they're getting it they're taking a black person's word and using it. No, it was always a white man's word. Now I'm going to play a clip, and this is a modern day clip here about, it's really kind of involving a critical race theory debate. But this is a lady who reads a lyric, and I'm playing this because on the one hand she gets criticized for reading the lyrics of an NWA song. I think it was called F the Police, and let me forewarn you, it is quite graphic, the lyrics here, but it's worth listening. And the reason why I am playing this tape is because, one, you see this white woman using the N-word but reading lyrics of people who are actually using lyrics, who of course are black people.
I don't know if they fags or what. Search a nigga down and grab his nuts. And on the other hand, without a gun, they can't get none, but don't let it be a black and white one, because they'll slam you down to the street top, black police showing out for the white cop. Ice Cube will swarm on any motherfucker in a blue uniform. Just because I'm from the CPT, punk police are afraid of me. A young nigga on a warpath. And when I'm finished, it's gonna be a bloodbath of cops dying in LA. Yo, Dre, I'm something to say. Fuck the police, fuck, fuck. Fuck the police, fuck, fuck. You get the gist. This is in your curriculum. How do you defend that? Are you proud? Your curriculum, this is what you're teaching our kids. It's sick. It's sick.
All right, so you see her reading the actual lyrics to NWA, and again, to me, you see two sort of two thoughts merging here. A white woman using the N-word, but she's really not using the N-word. She's actually reading lyrics that she's disgusted by. I'm not going to even get into the comment on that. That there is a discussion in terms of why she is upset, and this song, of course, was highly debated back when it first came out. But the reason why I wanted to play this clip is because, again, the argument is there are people who are saying she should not ever utter the word, even though she's reading actual lyrics. Now, she's disgusted by the lyrics. She has every right to be disgusted by the lyrics. Now, there are people who defend the lyrics. I'm going to say they have every right to be they have every right to defend their position. There was one particular guy. He was called a First Amendment auditor, and he played this song while he was on a traffic stop. But I digress. So this N-word here is a very again, it's debatable, but I think it becomes debatable for the wrong reasons. See, these celebrities here, and I'm going to now talk about dog, but think about the celebrities who have used the N word. But here is the thing about that. Their use of the N word revealed the racist nature in their heart. That's the difference. Remember Dog, the video I just played? Dog, the bounty hunter there? His first use of the N-word, and he used this same defense that he thought he had, he thought that he had a past with the black tribe, whatever the black tribe is that he's talking about. No, it wasn't. He was cursing out his son who was dating a black person, basically saying, we're not going to let an N-word mess up what we built here. That was the gist of what he was saying. That we're not going to let an N-word. And so in all of these other cases, the one comedian right there, Michael Richards, who was on Jerry Stanfield show, he was at a comedy show and he really started going in on a heckler, using the N-word. Okay? And all of them, Hulk Hogan, Paula Dean, the pizza guy right there. When they used the N-word, it came out, okay, this is what you really think about black people. Now, on The View, Whoopi Goldberg, and who I think has always sort of defended her use of the N-word. Remember how I said we was growing up, we used it? And so, she still uses it. However, I want to play a clip. Of, this was a show a few years ago on The View. And it kind of shows to me a kind of convergence of different generations and different thoughts.
Racism as the way your generation does. Yeah. You guys worked hard and fought hard and went through a whole bunch of to make sure that we live a better life. But then when we do, well, you need to remember what happened. Yeah. We're trying to move forward.
You like to tell? I know. I know.
We grew up the same way.
I know.
We're moving forward.
I mean, and I understand your point about the word, but it is not. The thing about, and go ahead and beat me because I don't care. The thing about the word is it was a word that was meant to degrade you. And I feel like these kids said, we're not going to take that anymore. We know what you went through, and we're going to poop on this word, and we're going to turn it into something very different. Now, not everybody is comfortable with it, and I don't suggest people go around using it, because not everybody's into it, because you could get hurt. But not everybody feels like they have to keep that. And so that's what you're saying.
It's the same.
All right. So, Raven Simone, let me bring her back into picture here. Raven Simone, let's bring her back. Okay, there she is. Raven had made some. Now this is interesting because first and foremost, Raven Simone is a celebrity. She grew up. If you remember her, she was a little kid on the Cosby Show. She had her own television show, and but when she got on The View right here, oftentimes, as what happens when they speak their minds, they don't always speak with wisdom. But I think in defense of Raven, when I say defense, in terms of let me say this is why she was saying this. If you remember in the beginning of the clip here, she said, well, we just want to move on. Well, she's made other kind of dumb statements. One particular statement on one show, she talked about, black names, Shaquika and all that. That she saw Shaquika, she wouldn't hire people. She got really dragged for that. And so again, the problem, of course, is she grew up in Hollywood with money, and so she's coming from a different perspective. That's why she was saying, "Y'all grew up with racism, but we're trying to move on," which is just ludicrous. It is. It's just the statement was just kind of ludicrous. But Whoopi says something in this that I think is very important to understand. That she said that the word itself was used to degrade. Now, it's kind of funny because Whoopi in other shows would defend her use of the word. And other black people have said that the use of the word, their defense of the use of the word is because we have taken the word and take ownership of it. And we make it a term of endearment. And I just wholly disagree with that. I wholly disagree with that because if you understood how that word was used to condition, this picture here, these are slave hands, if you notice the chains. And so these were, slaves were called niggers because it was designed to dehumanize them. So when we use the word in our day growing up, we was just kind of parroting what was conditioned in the African American experience. Now, growing up, and it wouldn't be till later when I begin to understand this is the origins of the word. And remember I said that the N-word was always a white man's word. It wasn't a black man's word. The black man didn't give himself that word. It was always a white man's word that they used to condition black people that this is what your worth is. Chains, that you're no better than this. Your property. You're not human. And I don't understand sometimes why I think sometimes it's cute maybe, but there are so many other offensive words that we would never use as terms of endearment. My opinion is that the word should never be used. And that I showed you the contrast between those who do use the word and don't mean anything, but there's still in this day plenty of people that use that word to sting. There are plenty of people that use that word as not a term of endearment, but as you are less than, inferior than. There's still white people today. There's still white people today when they call me an N-word, that's what they mean. That this picture right here. This is what they think of me. And to me, I would say there are better words to take and use as terms of endearment. That part of the freedom, the freeing in 1865, part of the freeing of slaves should have been everything bad and evil about that. And the N-word was a part of that. All right, guys, look, that is my perspective. Love to hear from you, see what you think. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. Till next time, I'll see you then.